Hey boys and girls and mom, welcome to Kids Fit Fishing. As is typical that happens with me, doing a video gives me ideas. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. Doing videos and getting feedback from you guys gives me ideas for other videos. And I had a number of conversations from the Ross inventory video about what was going on in the fishing boat marketplace with guys both trying to buy boats, guys trying to sell boats, both. And it made me curious and it sent me down some rabbit holes. So I'm going to share with y'all something I'm working on in this video today. This video today is creating maybe even a series of videos as I dig into this further. But just also so you know, I'm boatless. The links left a week ago or 2 weeks ago to go to this young man right here, Tucker in Alabama. His dad came over and picked up the boat, and so there's going to be a young man fishing out of my links in Alabama for the next few years, and I'm really excited. They were as excited to get that boat as I was originally excited to get that boat, so that was really fun. So I forgot to send them the windshields, so Tucker, your windshields are on the way. I just left them in the boat barn, forgot to include them. But the video I'm going to share with y'all today, so I've kind of gone down, look, I don't have a boat, right? So I'm spending a lot of time on the internet, and I was kind of banging around on the internet, and I was actually on the Texas Fishing Forum and saw a boat, and I saw the price on the boat, and I'm like, well, that doesn't seem right. And so there's some things going on in the marketplace. So if you have bought or sold a boat in the last 2.5 years, you either got top value for your boat when you sold it, or you paid probably even a premium to buy a boat. Sarah and I just bought a new vehicle for her. Her lease expired, and we wandered on a Mercedes lot. We did not buy a Mercedes-Benz, but we wandered on a lot just to look at a car. And a number of those vehicles, actually I think 2 different series of the Mercedes, literally had the price of the car on the sticker, and at the bottom, market value adjustment, $10,000. So whatever you bought there, you were paying $10,000 because they had the ability to gas you for an extra $10,000. And I'm sure there has been some of that going on in our marketplace. But as you saw in the Ross video, prices have normalized. And there's a couple of things coming into play there to make them normalize. Number one, where nobody could get parts to build boats or motors because of COVID, that's freed up, right? So they're making motors, they're making boats, they're making electronics, they're making trolling motors. Everything we couldn't get for the last couple of years, we can get now. And so that's a good thing. That increased inventory, but simultaneous to that, interest rates have gone up. So where you were able to buy a boat, I mean, there's no other way to say it, basically with free money, for 2 or 3%, you could borrow money to buy a boat. That's doubled and in some cases tripled. And that has 2 impacts on the marketplace. Number one, it makes it more difficult for some people to buy. Look, we'd all love to pay cash, but we're not all cash buyers, right? So it makes it harder for some people to buy boats. And along with that, so part of the reason car dealers made so much money, if you don't know anybody in the car business, they made a ton of money in COVID. And they did that because they had no inventory. Well, you think, well, that makes no sense. Well, number one, when you walk on a car lot and there's 800 cars on that lot, Chevy just didn't drop off those cars and say, hey, try to sell those and we'll split the profit with you. That dealer actually paid for those, or more likely, almost certainly, financed those vehicles on the lot. It's called a floor plan. Exact same thing boat dealers do. So boat dealers say, well, we're going to have 30 boats on the lot, and Bass Cat or Ranger or Nitro or Phoenix will say, okay, here's your boats. Here you owe us $1 million. And they will finance that $1 million floor plan, that inventory, they'll finance it. Well, again, during COVID, interest rates were so low. Well, first off, car dealers and boat dealers weren't even having any inventory. And on top of that, they could get a premium for anything they got. So they didn't have that interest cost on their floor plan. And as soon as a vehicle arrived, they would sell it. I went and looked at it, try to buy a new Tahoe, and the guy said to me, "I'll let you have it for $10,000 over sticker." And I said to him, "I'll let you keep it." Well, now the opposite of that has happened, right? Now you've got less buyers because interest rates are higher, and boat dealers now, and car dealers, by the way. I saw the other day, Sarah said that she saw where somebody bought a Telluride, I think on one of her Facebook groups, for $4 or $5 grand under sticker. So all of a sudden now these dealers are getting those, I'm sure they pay them monthly or weekly, those interest charges for their floor plans, and they want those cars moved. A car sitting on their lot actually costs them money because they got to make interest payments. Boat dealers the same way. So that's why you saw in that Ross video all those numbers where it was, 36,000 / to 31,000 or 88,000 / to 83,000. It's expensive in these kind of marketplaces to have inventory, so they don't want to keep inventory. So as I was looking at, what really spawned this was a conversation with one of the guys that watches my videos who I've become pretty good friends with. You guys know I respond to every email. I try to respond to most of the comments. By the way, if you ever want to email me, kensmithfishing@outlook.com. But that's in the description down below as well. It's harder for me to keep up with the comments now and respond to them, but I try to the best I can. But we were talking about that legend, or one of the legends that was at Ross. And by the way, I think both of those boats are sold. I don't know that for sure. But I know one's not on the website now and one says sale pending. But our comment to each other was, it had 4 graphs, 360 and forward imaging, I think, if I remember right, or maybe it was just 360 and 4 graphs. But he was talking about, the boat was priced at 40 or 50 grand, and quite literally almost half of that, which if you include the power poles and the trolling motor, half of the cost of that boat was in the electronics, which this guy's about my age, so we went down the old memory lane of, I remember back when my first boat cost $500. It was a tri-hull with a 50 horse. So we went down that memory lane together, and it was kind of fun. But then it got me thinking, and this is the series of videos I'm working on now. What makes the value of one boat greater than the other in the used marketplace, not in the new marketplace, right? And interestingly, all high end, and I'm gonna say Ranger, Triton, Blazer, Bass Cat. Who am I missing there? Phoenix. Those boats have all, if you want to buy a fully loaded out 20 or 21 foot boat, they're all north of $100,000 now. Even a nitro. You go price a nitro on Bass Pro Shop's website. Now you may be able to get them off that price, but the sticker price on that boat with 4 graphs, a good trolling motor, and it's lithium batteries and power poles and a power pole charge system. I mean, that stuff just piles up $2,000 to $3,000 at a time, and I'll share one of those with you right here in just a second. But so what that has caused me to do now is I've started going through ads for boats, and I'm trying to quantify, if you will, what's an extended warranty worth, what's 4 graphs versus 2 graphs worth, all of that stuff. And it's really fun. I spent a bunch of time on it today, and I will get that video up for you guys, and I'm going to try to make it sort of a buyer's guide, if you will, for buying a used boat, for helping you figure out values. And the other thing I'm really curious about, and I'll tell you from my little bit of research today, I think I've got a pretty good handle on it already, but what boat carries the best second and third year value to resell a boat? So if you're going to buy a boat today and sell it in a year or 2 years, which boats hold their value best? I don't think that's going to surprise anybody, but the numbers I think will, because it surprised me a little bit how well a couple of boats hold their value for a couple of years right after. But so the legend in that conversation prompted this conversation. And then you guys all know that here in Texas, I'm on the Texas Fishing Forum, not every day, but pretty regularly. And James Niggemeyer had his boat up for sale on there. And I saw it and I'm like, that looks like a really good price on a boat. And so I've titled this video, Stupid Best Boat Deal of the Month. Now, I am not endorsing a Ranger boat. I've never been in an R-Series boat. But what I can do is I can take a boat and look at other boats of the same model and kind of, I mean, that's kind of how I did my boat, by the way, right? I had a 21 Bass Cat Lynx. I looked online. There were 3 other Lynxes for sale. They ranged in price from $78,000 to $83,000. And I called Ryan at Ross and I said, okay, what can I sell my boat for? He said, if you're willing to sit on it for a few months, you can get $80,000 for it. And I said, if I price it at 75, he said, you'll sell it immediately. And so there's 2 ways to sell boats, right? You either go, well, I kind of think I want to sell it, and you put it out there and you hope to get top dollar. But in my case, I had a boat ordered, right? I had a motor and a boat coming. And I have always been of the opinion, I would rather sell a boat, make somebody a really good deal on that boat, make them happy, but also have the burden of the worry of owning 2 boats. I have owned 2 boats once before, and it's not fun. So I said, I'm going to just put it at the best price I can put it at. And somebody was thrilled to buy it. I had several guys try to buy it, but somebody was thrilled to buy it. I mean, try to buy it at that price. So, sorry, I guess that was a little bit of a rabbit hole of its own. But anyway, so when I looked at James's boat, he's asking 79 and change for that boat, and there's some stuff in there. By the way, if you see his ad on, I'm going to just say this now. If you see his ad, he's put on there, finder's fee available. Somebody helps me find a buyer for this boat. I am not taking any money from James. James and I fished together once. You guys saw that video. I'll post it right there. Had a great time. He's a super nice guy. I'm not doing this to help anybody sell a boat to try to make a profit. I just went down a rabbit hole and had fun with it. So the first question I knew I had to, and by the way, same thing I'm doing for this other video series as well. I had to quantify, what did that boat originally cost? Not what did it cost James. I'm sure, I mean, look, he's a big deal, right? He's a professional fisherman. You got Geico as a sponsor. He's got huge sponsors. I think he's still with Geico. He's got Bass Pro Shop, so he obviously gets a great deal on the boat, which, by the way, is an advantage for a guy like you. And I'm also going to say this. I thought about how to say this, and I'm just going to say it because I'm Ken Smith, and I don't have good filters. I once bought a boat from a professional fisherman, and it was a Skeeter, and the guy is an ex-bull rider. And what I will say to you is, don't ever do that. We were both young guys at the time, and a bull rider, from what I could tell based upon the condition of that boat after I'd had it a few months, he had idle and he had wide open because he had beat that boat pretty hard. So even today, I would have a really hard time buying a boat from a professional bass fisherman who's 20, 24, 26 years old, because I remember how hard I was on boats back then. James is, I'm going to guess James is in his mid to late 40s. I fished with him. He's not a guy who has 2 speeds. I would imagine you can pull the data on his motor, right? If you ask him to run the data, he can tell you what % of the motor was run at wide open throttle. I bet it's less than 4%. It's probably like 1.5 or 2%. So anyway, just always think about how the guy you're buying the boat treats his stuff. And I would have confidence in James in this situation. But so back to my question, sorry. The question was, what did that boat sell for? So I went to the Ranger website, and I'm not sure, by the way, really one of the few manufacturers that does this, and I personally love it. If you go back to the Great Bass Boat Search of 21, I told you back then I loved it. I wish Bass Cat and Phoenix and everybody else would do the same thing. They don't, but it seems to work for Ranger. So you can actually go in and build your boat and see the pricing right there. And I kind of like that because it gives you a point to start to go back and negotiate the boat with them. But and by the way, so I said it earlier, and I'll just come back to that again. I'm not endorsing this boat. I've never been in this boat. But again, looking at it compared to other 520 and 521Rs, that's what I was really setting out to do here. So on the website at Ranger, there were a couple of ways you can buy this boat. So you can buy it kind of as a package boat and add a few little trinkets to it, or you can buy the base boat and add everything to it. And that's what I did here. And I'm sure I didn't get exactly the same options across the boat, but you can see, and for some reason, here we sit in November of 23, it's still showing 2023 boats on their website, but it's handy for my purposes. And you can see this boat retailed with pretty much everything James had on the boat between 99 and 101,000 bucks. So the next thing I needed to know was kind of what's out there in the marketplace, what are boats being sold for. So I went to Bass Boat Central. I went to 3 different sites, and of course there's a lot of them. You know, they're the same boats in multiple places, just like all of us. When you sell a boat, you try to put it everywhere you can get it out there. But what I found was, I found 14 2023 520Rs for sale. So this is again what started my next video I'm working on, which was to look at all the 23s and all the 22s and all the 21s to kind of see how the prices come down as the boats get a couple of years older. It's going to take a while to work to get that video pulled together, but I'll get it, and it may be a couple of videos. But the average price for 2023 520Rs in the marketplace right now, the average asking price. Now, most of these boats are not going to sell for the asking price, but it still will give us a sense of where they're going to fall. I think in today's market, what would I expect to pay? If I was buying a boat that somebody was asking 84, I would hope I could buy it for 78.5 or 78, just kind of thinking out loud. So, you know, if the average ask price going here is 85, 2 and change, I would think the average purchase price would be closer to 82. But, you know, so this again is what the next videos made me start thinking about. So the high on that group of boats was 90, I believe. Is that right? I'm looking at the graph here as you guys are. 90, and the low was 2 boats priced the same price at James's. And by the way, I rounded this. I think his boat is 79,999 and or whatever it was. I rounded it just to the nearest kind of dollar, so, or 79.25 or something. But why would one of those boats be worth 90 and another one 79? Well, a lot of reasons. By the way, and even so, there's a Bass Cat Puma out there for sale, really, really inexpensive, like thousands of dollars less than any other Puma, but it's got a Suzuki on it. Now, if you A, are okay with Suzuki, and B, are somewhere near the coast where because there's very few Suzuki warranty centers inland, if you're somewhere that can service that boat for you, that might be a great deal on it. But I'm sure that guy is struggling to sell that boat, or has struggled in the past to sell boats, because it's hard to get service on a boat, and that probably causes him to have a little bit less value in that boat to most of us, right? Somebody's going to buy that boat and be thrilled with it. But when you look at why would one boat be worth 90 versus another at 79, the things I would be looking for, number one would be warranty. How long is the warranty? So Mercury's in general come with a 3-year base warranty. So I would not buy, and this is already part of what the next video is going to be, I really wouldn't buy a boat in this kind of price range that didn't have at least 2 years left on the warranty. And if it's a Mercury, now there's obviously some Yamahas in this mix too. I think almost all White River Marine Group boats are going to be black motors. But generally speaking, if you're second owner and maybe even third owner, I believe I've got this footnote right. If the boat is current year or in the next 3 years, and it may be manufactured in the last 4 years. It may not just be the year the motor is, but for sure, if it's manufactured in the last 4 years and it has less than 500 hours on it, you can extend the warranty. So if you find a guy out there who's got a boat that doesn't have a lot of warranty on it, there's your first negotiation point, right? Hey, I want 2 or 3 more years of warranty on it, so whatever that warranty is going to cost me, I want that off the price of the boat. So that could be one of the things. By the way, not one of the things on James's boat. Motor hours for sure. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But I think there's boats that have very, very low hours, and I think there's a premium to those. And there's boats that have tons of hours, and I think you got to subtract a little bit off the boats with tons of hours. Obviously, electronics. We already talked about that earlier, but if you've got, two 15-inch Humminbirds and 2 12-inchers, or if it's got 4 9-inchers, you got to look at the value of those. Now, personally, I don't think you can say, well, that was a $3,600 unit new. You kind of look at it's a year or 2 years old. but I still think you got to look at the electronics. Battery charging systems, and there's several of them out there. I think the one I am most familiar with is the PowerPo charging system. I think it's $1,000 or $1,500, and everybody that I know that's had one, I've never had one, have loved them. So if that one of those is in there, that probably adds $1,000 to your value. A boat cover. Boat covers are more than $1,000 now. So if the boat cover's in there, that adds something to it. And I put additional electronics as well as electronics here because third, fourth, fifth units add value. Forward-facing sonar adds value. 360 imaging adds value. Turret systems for your forward-facing sonar adds value. Monitors bigger than 12 inches, they all add value. Now, it's really hard, I think, to monetize that value, specifically around these couple of things. So to me, again, and I have bought and sold boats. I've bought new boats and I bought used boats. I bought more used boats in my life than I bought new boats. If I find a boat that has less than about 60 hours a year, so if it's a year old, 60 hours, if it's 4 years old, less than, a couple hundred hours, I think there's value in that. And it's not just the hours on the motor, right? It's the hours on the boat overall. It's how much it was out in the weather. It's how many times it's gone through rough rides. It's all of that stuff, because those hours generally will tell you that. Now, the one exception to that, that's becoming a little different today because of the way guys fish. I didn't ask, but if you remember right, there was one of the Japanese pros boats there at Ross. I believe it was that Blue Cougar kind of in the back right. And that guy, he really did have 5 or 6 or 7 units on that boat. And I have watched several of those guys practice. They don't fish. They never get a rod out of the boat. They just idle. I don't know this as a mechanic, but I'm a little more comfortable with the boat with a lot of idle hours on it. And by the way, you can get that. If you pull the readout on the boat from the computer, it'll tell you hours at 1,000 RPMs, 1,000 to 2,000, 2 to 3. It'll tell you, the last boat I had pulled up on mine, 0.7% of my hours was at full wide open throttle. So you can see all of that. But nonetheless, if it's got very few hours, that's a value to me. And then likewise, kind of on the other end of that spectrum, if a boat's got more than 120, 140 hours on it, I'd want to kind of get a better look at those hours. But to me, that would be a boat that's got a lot of hours and have been used a lot, and I probably would want a little bit off that boat. I would, again, I said this earlier, I would not want to buy a used boat that has less than two years left on the warranty from whatever period they bought it. Most motors come with a 3-year warranty, so if you're buying a boat that's a year old, you're probably going to get at least 2 years, and if that guy bought that extended warranty, you maybe get more than that. I mean, you can buy up to 7 or 8 years of warranty, so there may be boats out there that are a year old that got 7 years of warranty left. If that's the case, I would pretty comfortably assign at least $500 extra per year past that 2-year period, because that's what it would cost to buy it, right? And that's just peace of mind that while you've got a boat payment sitting out there, you also are not going to get hit with having to spend $6,000 to repair a motor. So another one that guys don't think about much, but make sure the whole warranty is transferable. Most manufacturers, it's $100 or less to do that. And if it's a lifetime warranty like the Basscat hull is, even better. You don't think about it, but a second console. So I priced them today. Most all second consoles, to buy that second console, is over $2,000 now. That seems ridiculous to me, but if you're looking at, especially with a Basscat where they're removable, but if you're looking at a boat, single console versus dual console, that's not a fair comparison. And then likewise, a hydraulic jack plate. A hydraulic jack plate is not an inexpensive item. So I was just kind of picking out the big ticket item. There's a whole bunch of little things, right? I mean, a Hambies, if a boat, I can't imagine in today's world a boat not having a keel guard, but if it doesn't have power poles, if it's only got one power pole, it's got 10 or 12 foot power poles. I mean, all of those are things you got to look at. But back to the original title of this video, Stupid Good Boat Deals. I mean, if you go back to that slide earlier, the average ash price on 2023 520Rs is 80, what was it? 85.2. James's starting price on this boat is, where is it on this thing right here? 79,950. Now, I think there's 2 knocks on his boat. One, he's only got 2 grass, but he says right there in the ad, make sure I'm not running out of battery, that he'll give you a 3rd unit for $1,000. And by the way, this is the nice thing about dealing with guys like this who have deals. I mean, no other way to say this, but if you probably said to him, I want a 4th unit, I would imagine he can figure out how to get you a 4th unit at something less than retail. I'm sorry I'm putting words in his mouth, James, but I just know that's the case with most of these guys. And then the other one is, I don't know that a whole lot of guys are excited about that Motor Guide Tour Pro trolling motor, but good gosh, you can buy a trolling motor for way less than $6,000, which is the difference here. So a couple of 100 hours on the boat. It's a little bit high hours, but again, it's not $6,000 worth of hours. And then he doesn't say on here, and I didn't think to ask him. I did call him to make sure it's okay. I talked about his boat on here, but it's probably got at least 2 years of warranty left on it. So this one just jumped out at me as a really great deal if you're in the market for a Ranger. And since I'm gonna be playing in this space for a while, if I see another one like this, I'm gonna do another one of these ads, because I think I think it's fun in today's marketplace. Shopping is just fun anyway, but I think there are some deals to be had. And I'm going to spend a lot of time on all those boat seller websites over the next several weeks doing these other videos. And if I see another deal like this, I'll share it with you. So that to me, of all the Rangers that I looked at, there's a bunch of them for sale right now. That's the stupid best boat deal of the month. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, please throw me a like. I've said this before. I don't say it enough, but likes tell YouTube that you're watching my videos and enjoy them, and that moves me up in the rankings for to be searchable. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. And hey, if you need somebody to fish off the back deck, give me a holler. I ain't got a boat right now.